Welcome to this Bridgewater Now update coming to you from Swenson Field, home of the Bridgewater State Bears. I'm John Luck alongside Brian Berard. And Brian, we're going to talk football. I mean, it's been a while since you and me were on camera talking about football.
It's been a while.
Some out-of-bounds show, I don't know. But nonetheless, as you see on the bottom of your screen, we do have the Trojan season, the BSU season, also the weekly schedule for the Bridgewater Badgers. But Brian, let's start off with the BR Trojans. Obviously a very young team, a team that found a lot of difficulties last year in playing some of the top teams like St. John's Prep, Xaverian, and Duxbury.
It's going to be an interesting season for Bridgewater Rainham. You know, as you may know, Bridgewater Rainham is in a new league now, but for football they are independent because Brockton and Dartmouth aren't going to be playing each other in the Southeast Conference. So again, it gave BR a little bit of a chance to schedule some teams that they normally don't play. Now that they lost Barnstable, they replaced that with Dennis Yarmouth, a team that went to Gillette Stadium a few years ago and actually won the Super Bowl. But you know, it's going to be interesting. They are going to play every Southeast Conference team, and then you have your likes of Marshfield, which is a team that they don't normally play. They have played them before in the regular season, but this is kind of a new game that they're playing. Of course, you have your Duxbury, your St. John's Prep, your Xaverian. So those are going to be games that Bridgewater Rainham is really going to be testing. It's going to find out what they're going to do here with a lot of, especially a young team, as you mentioned.
So you heard Nick Sylvia a couple weeks ago on the Bridgewater Now update give you the 2019 BR schedule, as Brian alluded to. They start the season off on Saturday at St. John's Prep. And that's a game you can actually hear with Dominic Damiano on the call on WVBF 15:30 a.m., so you can listen to the game live there. But last year, BR lost to St. John's Prep by 23 points. Then the next team they take on, Duxbury, they lost to Duxbury by 26 points. And then Xaverian, the third game of the season, the Trojans lost last year by 16. The commonality I see in all these losses is this was a very young team. You had a sophomore quarterback, I believe. And this is what Dan Biron typically does, schedules games against the top teams in the state, and we're seeing it again this year.
He wants to test his players. I mean, he can schedule the Natics of the world and the Braintrees. He can beat the bejesus out of them if he wants to, but he wants to test his kids, and that's why he loves to schedule these hard games, because you're really going to find out the teams that you're going to have when you play these tough teams. I mean, Xaverian's Division I, St. John's Prep is Division I. And Bridgewater Rainham is going to be playing in Division II this year. And when you get into the South Sectional play, I mean, you're going to have to face the King Phillips, the Mansfields. Those are elite teams in Division II South right now. So when you play Xaverian and St. John's and Duxbury and the Marshfields, you're going to find out what kind of team you have and whether or not it can make a run in the playoffs.
So BR's first home game doesn't take place all the way until September 28th against New Bedford. That's a Saturday afternoon. And of course, the reason for that is the Triple E scare throughout most of Massachusetts now. And this is something that teams kind of have to worry about week to week as far as when games are played and the different practices they have, because the game could take place on Friday night, a Friday afternoon, or even a Saturday.
The good thing, though, about this is you're going to know when it's going to come to an end. When that first hard frost comes, that's when you know. It's not really like it's a judgment call of should we or shouldn't we or can we. It's once that first hard frost comes, then you're going to know. That's when all the night games are going to start. Even here at Bridgewater State, they've been moving up a lot of games because of the Triple E.
That's my favorite time of the year. First frost, get some snow going. Now, Thanksgiving, the Trojans will be hosting the Brockton Boxers. We thought this was going to be last year this year, but it looks like they have another couple of years added on.
Yeah, they looks like they are going to re-sign with Brockton. There was kind of a rumor that Taunton and BR may connect again on Thanksgiving because Coyle's dropping football, but looks like Taunton might be playing Milford now on Thanksgiving Day, so kind of BR and Brockton are nowhere to go. They kind of have to play each other unless if they don't want to play on Thanksgiving.
You need to play football on Thanksgiving. Football, turkey, and naps. That's all Thanksgiving is. But let's talk about the Southeast Conference. This is a new venture for a lot of these teams, and even for you as you yourself and Dominic Damiano helped start the Southeast Conference Journal.
Yeah, me, Dom, Tom Joyce, and Nate Rollins, the four of us are going to try and tackle the 5 schools and cover as much as we can. We kind of knew this was coming. You know, the old Colony League was a great league back 10, 15 years ago, but when you had 3 teams in it, you only had to win 2 league games to get in the postseason, and it was kind of destiny. You know, with Barnstable leaving for Cape and Islands League, BR and Dartmouth, they tried the Hockomock League, they were turned down. They tried the Bay State League, they were turned down. You knew that them joining up with the Big 3 was eventually going to happen, and I think it's great because you get 2 extra league games every single year in every sport. And it's starting off this fall for the exception of football, like I said, because of Brockton and Dartmouth.
So let's talk about the different teams here. Of course, Bridgewater residents may be familiar with Barnstable, Dartmouth, and BR in that OCL, that 3-team conference, but a couple extra teams and some changes around there, right?
Yeah, we're adding on to, well, as you said, we're going to join the Big 3, so Brockton, Durfee, and New Bedford. Actually already had a couple of SEC contests already happen. Bridgewater Rainham beat New Bedford in girls cross country. Dartmouth and I believe it was Durfee or New Bedford. I can't quite remember which one. I think it was Durfee, but they already played in field hockey. I think New Bedford already played Dartmouth in golf, so we've already had some Southeast Conference matchups, but we're going to really get things going off in the next few weeks with this new conference.
And best way to try and keep up with everything going on in the Southeast Conference is?
Southeast Conference Journal. We have the secjournal.net, which we're going to hopefully get online in the next couple of days. You can also follow us at SEC Journal 1. It's going to be a fun time. And we also have a Facebook page, SECMA Journal. And if anyone that's interested wants to kind of get a sports journalism career going, just email us, secjournal@yahoo.com.
Nice plug there for the SEC Journal.
You're welcome.
Now we are coming to you from Bridgewater State University. The Bears kicking off their 2019 season against Morrisville State. They're from New York in the Empire 8 Conference, and when we talk about the BSU Bears, they ended the season winners 7 of their last 8 games. The only loss was a 4-overtime game to Western Connecticut State, but they have a couple of big losses in Travis Bassett and Jack Lanchi to try and fill here at Swenson Field this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of this offense is going to come down to Bridgewater A&M's own Stevie D'Amelia. I mean, he's going to run the offense, going to be a quarterback, and I'm not trying to put all the pressure on him, but a lot of this offense is going to have to run through him. And Bridgewater State, they're going to have an interesting season too. I mean, last year they got their first postseason win in a long time when they beat Salve in the New England Bowl. And they want to get back to that national tournament and maybe capture the MASCAC, and probably up to them. Western Connecticut, maybe Framingham will make a run for it, but it's going to be an interesting season for Bridgewater State. And I like how every year now they're starting off with an out-of-state opponent. Morrisville State, I mean, team, they're not going to know anything about them. I mean, you have to go on last year's footage and you don't know really what to expect from them, but that's going to be a fun game to watch.
So they have 2 non-conference games to start the season off against Morrisville State, then they go on the road to St. John Fisher before kicking off MASCAC play against Western Connecticut State. I mentioned the loss of Travis Bassett and Jack Levanchi combined last year, 147 receptions, just under 1,900 yards receiving, 1,200 alone from Jack Levanchi, and 19 touchdowns, so obviously a big bulk load of the offense. You talked about it's going to fall in the arm of Stefano D'Amelia, but also on the running back, Nick Stanovica. Stanovica last year, 248 carries, 1,172 yards, 14 touchdowns. Bridgewater State typically goes through these phases where they're pass-oriented, then they're run-oriented, or they're defensive-minded with Dimitri Dornville there from Brockton on the defensive line. So nonetheless, I think this is going to be an interesting season just to try and see how Joe Vera tries to fill some of these gaps on his roster.
Look, pretty much every single football game, if you want to win, you're going to look at pretty much 2 things. You're going to look at turnovers and starting field position. That's really what's going to come down to. And your offense, everyone knows this, balanced offensive attack, run game, pass game. You mentioned BR, sometimes more pass than run, and other times more run than pass. If Bridgewater State can get a balanced offensive attack going, like every football team, they can really go a long way, especially in the MASCAC.
So we look at Bridgewater State's schedule. Homecoming taking place on October 19th. Usually there's a fireworks display after that, so watch out for that. And there was a fight last year between the Bears and UMass Dartmouth, so typically for some reason homecoming, the fighting minds come out of Bridgewater State and other teams.
And then a couple of years prior to that was they had a little brouhaha with Western Connecticut right on the Umbristico, the Bear, at midfield. So it always brings out a lot of extra emotion out of some people.
Among the scariest moments of my life. The field goes dark, the fireworks start, I'm on the field doing camera, so.
That'll happen.
But obviously the rivalry game between Bridgewater State and Mass Maritime to end the season with the annual Cranberry Bowl taking place, as Bridgewater State looks to try and continue on the success from last year when they were 8-3. Now, before the season kicked off, Bridgewater State welcomed the Road to Kindergarten program here to Bridgewater State University and had a chance to interact with some of the kids, and this is actually something that both the kids and the players look forward to.
I think it's great to have the kids come out here and work with our kids. These kids have a great time. I've been told by all of the people from the school system that they look forward to this day every year, and we're glad to be able to have the opportunity through the community service and everything is to have them here.
All right, so that's just a snippet of what you're going to see coming up on Saturday. We'll play the full package for you on Saturday during halftime of the BSU Morrisville State game. That game taking place on the Bear Sports Network, and it'll replay on BTV and BTVAccess.com. We'll have kickoff of that one live on BSUBears.com starting at 12. That'll do it for this Bridgewater Now update. For Brian Berard, I'm John Luck. Thanks for watching.